it on there. But
right on.
The
and your name's Ted?
No, Ted. Yeah,
right on.
Ted Yost.
Ted Yost?
Yost.
How do I know that name?
No telling.
I don't know. All right.
No telling. But at the time I worked for, I was working for a sheriff's department, and I had got just happened to be that day. It was about 5 o'clock in the evening, and I was working out near the lake, and I was fixing to meet a trooper buddy of mine and go out to the lake to a friend of mine's. His son was having a birthday, and his son loves police.
Yeah.
So we were going to go out there and see him. And the dispatch ended up calling me on the southern lane. And it wasn't even put out as a call. She just hit me up. She's like, "Hey, Ted, can you run out here and check on him, see what's going on?" You can hear the phones ringing and everything in the background. Yeah. And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll run out there real quick." And so I actually passed a trooper on the road. I'm like, "Hey, man, I'll be right back. I'm just going to go see what's going on." And when I go out there to the, it's out in the rural country. Gosh. And I pull up, and the two people I come up on that had called, I recognize them from just past stuff. They were both real involved with drugs and stuff like that.
Bad guys.
Big time, constant domestic.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, Lord, here we go. What's this going to be about now? And the guy was complaining that the man next door ran his girlfriend off.
He was complaining the man next door ran his girlfriend off?
She was actually just sitting out there. I don't know. And apparently they didn't tell me this happened about 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
About this time, this was 5 when I went out there. I guess the boyfriend came home, and then after talking to her, he was really mad, so he called.
Oh, man.
I went up there and met him, and the guy next door never had any problems with him or anything. And when I talked to them a minute, I said, okay, well, let me go next door and talk to this guy. And he was an older fellow. He was an old Vietnam vet. Mm. And so I went next door and went up there and knocked on the trailer door. And I had a guy that was riding with me. It was an old reserve. And anyways, I went up there and I knocked on the trailer door. And the property's about 20 acres, and you can see everything behind it and around it. The guy had horses and everything. And so I go up there, and after I knock on the door, I hear all this movement. And I step back looking at the door and the window. And, usually somebody's going to look out the window or say who it is. But with all the movement, I figured, well, maybe he's putting a shirt on or something. And so the guy ended up... what he was doing, the noise that I heard, he was going out the back door. Boy. And he come around the corner. As soon as he hit the corner right there, the guy that was with me said, "Sir, sir." And then I looked and I didn't see anybody, so I figured maybe the guy was coming up from the field.
Oh boy.
And he was getting his attention. So I looked for just a minute, and then I looked back at the door because expecting somebody's going to come out from behind that door. Uh-huh. And then I hear, "Ted, I think he's got a gun." And about that time, I'm stepping back and pulling my gun. I just got my gun out of my holster. And the guy was already standing there, and he was closer than here than that light pole. He was standing there holding a shotgun and shot me right in the face.
Oh, gosh.
So the first blast shot me twice, the face and the chest.
Oh, man.
And that day... usually I always wore sunglasses during the day, but anytime I talked to anybody, I just always took them off. I just had this thing with, whenever I'm dealing with the public, let them see my eyes. That's But yeah, I always took my glasses off. But that particular day, for some, basically it's nothing but up above.
That's right.
And, but I didn't take my sunglasses off, and with that time of the day, and those glasses actually completely compressed against my face. They didn't shatter or anything. That's what kept my eyes from being shredded.
Oakleys?
And believe it or not, usually I do wear Oakleys, but that day I had on a pair of Ray-Bans.
Okay.
And they weren't even rated as being ballistic.
But still, wow.
And so,
what a stroke of luck, man.
Yeah, it's just incredible. And but anyways, the guy, after he shot me, and then he came over and shot me in the back.
Oh, gosh.
And...
So you went down after the first shot to the face. You're covering your face,
it blew me back. And when I went down, it's kind of like it blew me back.
Yeah, you're like face down.
Yeah, I ended up face down.
And then he comes up to try to execute you.
And so he ends up shot me the third time.
Oh.
Then he goes back inside and gets a rifle. And about this time, I was kind of like in and out a little bit.
Yeah.
The first thing I've done is over my years, I've seen people with shotgun wounds and stuff like that. People that have been shot in the face where their face had just mushroomed.
Right.
And that's what it felt like. I mean, it felt like somebody just took a steel baseball bat
man.
and just nailed me right in the face.
Oh,
and it was
God.
on fire. And so I laid there, and I felt like my face was just exploded. So I just reached right here to the side and just pulled it completely together. Was just holding my face.
Yeah, stop the bleeding and
And it actually ended up blowing out my front teeth, my gums, all this.
Oh, man.
Blew all that out. So anyway, so I ended up laying there on the ground for a little bit and trying to keep pressure on it. And then I tried calling dispatch. And of course, dispatch, when I keyed up, she couldn't understand me.
Yeah.
But I was sitting here gurgling on blood and spitting.
Man. What's the reservist doing at this time?
And he was gone. His gun, they found his gun in the front seat of the car, and he was down the road in the ditch. Never did anything.
He just boogied on out of there?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so anyways, I laid there, and the first thing I was thinking of that time, I had my son was living with me.
Yeah.
He was about 9 or 10 at that time. And I was thinking, God, I started talking to guys like I didn't even get to say goodbye. And so anyways, I laid there for a minute, and
Man.
I realized as much as I'm bleeding, I'm like, I gotta get my heart rate down, because I knew I was just pumping too much blood. So I just laid there and got my heart rate down, like I said, going in and out. And then I finally came to a little bit, and I'm like, okay, where is this guy at? Is he, I don't hear anything, it's quiet. And I'm sitting there, and I wipe the blood out of my eyes, and I'm looking for him. I'm just laying face down, and I'm looking up, and my gun is still right there by my hand. So I reach over, I grab my gun, and I can see the guy from a little ways. He was a good bit further away this time.
Now armed with a rifle, though.
Yeah, he was standing there with a rifle, and I could see him. And I come up, picked up my gun. I was trying to get an aim on him, and I knew he was really too far away. And I couldn't. As soon as I'd wiped the blood out of my eyes, it just come pouring, filling back up. And the guy saw me, and he hollered at me. He goes, "Man, you better stay your ass down, or I'm gonna shoot you again."
Oh.
And about that time, I realized, I'm like, well, that's too far. I said, if I shoot and I don't hit him, he's definitely gonna shoot me again. Probably kill me. So I put my head down and just held pressure on my face. And waited, and they had a standoff for about 40-something minutes. They estimated, they took that time on from the first officer to respond. 2 officers responded at the same time. And what happened was, when the call went out, originally my call to dispatch didn't go. She couldn't understand me. But then a buddy of mine, while I was laying there on the ground, after, when she couldn't hear me and I was trying to clear my mouth, my southern link beeped up, and it was my buddy LB, and he's like, "Hey man, what's going on?" And I told him, I said, I've just been shot. I said, dispatch should know where I'm at. He's like, "Hang on, I'm calling him." So they put the call out, and from the time they got the call, the first 2 officers that responded, one of them had a dash camera. So whenever they turn the blue lights on, it automatically kicks the camera on, so they use the date time stamp. So I was out there for at least 40 minutes just
bleeding out.
And so it went. After that, after the big standout shootout, they actually ended up killing the guy.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
He actually killed another officer. The first 2 that responded, I found out they were up at the corner. They were a good ways from him by a building, between a building and a dumpster, and they were hollering at him to put the gun down. And they said the guy turned and started walking away from them, and they kept hollering at him. And then they said the guy spun around with a rifle and come up and just went boom, and shot the other officer right between the eyes.
What was that officer's name?
Quick, Dexter Hammond.
Dexter Hammond. I'll add him to our prayers.
Yeah, thank you.
Open up the good path for him.
Oh yeah, and but yeah, they did. So they had that standoff, and about what was crazy was one of the guys that a friend of mine that was working. He was in Georgia working. He was a chief deputy out there in Georgia, and this was happening in Alabama. Well, he happened to be coming home late that afternoon, and he heard it come out too.
Yeah. What about that state trooper? He never turned around?
And everybody ended up.
Yeah, everybody was out there.
It was quite a scene. But the shootout that happened, he was one of the guys from Georgia who just happened to be, he was going to sell a rifle that day, an old hunting rifle. He had in the back of his car. And it ended up being that the guy, something happened, and he never did get to sell the rifle. So he was one of the ones that ended up out there, and he went.
Took the guy out, got a position.
Yeah, him.
Yeah.
They didn't know if it was either him, and there was another guy on the other side. And but yeah, it was just a.
Well, right on, swift justice.
Day. Yeah. And,
I'm glad you're still around.
They finally, after they got him down, because the medics weren't going to go in there until the scene was secured.
Yeah.
So they came in, got me, and as soon as I made it to the ER is when I finally quit breathing.
Oh boy.
So they cut me as I was coming in, went ahead and cut me and did a trach right there.
Yeah.
And of course, then after everything was said and done, they got me stable, and they were telling my family, they're like, well, we don't know how he's going to do this. They said, we know he's going to be blind. They said, but we're not going to tell him that just yet because he's got so much else going on.
Yeah.
So they ended up, I went in, I woke up, I can't remember, it was probably a couple days, 2 days later or something. And of course they come in and they kept checking me. My face was all covered, my bandages over my eyes.
Yeah.
And after almost about a week, the eye surgeon had come in there and was checking my eyes, and I started seeing a bit. And he's like, man, he couldn't believe it. He said, I would have swore he was going to be blind. I should have been. And of course the glasses said definitely, if I hadn't worn my glasses, my eyes would have been completely
You buy
shredded.
Ray-Bans only now, right?
Yeah. They but yeah, that and then
Gosh,
speaking
Ted.
of the doctors, I knew most of the doctors and everybody that came in. Everybody was really good to me. I was thanking the doctor. He's like, man, let me tell you something. He said, this wasn't me. He said, this is nothing. He said, somebody's looking out for you.
Yeah.
That's a gift right there. He said, that's nothing we did. He
Yeah.
said, you're blessed. And he's like, I couldn't believe it. Nobody could believe it. So it was.
Ted, I know
incredible.
that took a lot out of you to share your story, and I want to thank you for sharing your story, sir.
Yeah, anytime.
Sorry, Charlie.